I'm pretty similar, 15 years, so collaboratively over 100 years of real estate experience. That's pretty crazy. Also dates us. All right, the first question I have, and whoever, you guys can just kind of raise your hand, whoever wants to tackle it. How important do you think it is for agents to have or develop and maintain a business plan?
So to me, a business plan has a lot to do with marketing, and I would say that being consistent is probably one of the most important things. So even if you're not bringing in a ton of income, I still feel like it's very important for you to be consistent in your marketing. And where you can cut back is your personal expenses. So cable TV, maybe travel. You're not going as many places as you wanted to, but I would be very consistent in the marketing that you do and have a marketing plan in place.
Okay. Peter?
Jennifer took two words out of my mouth, being consistent, and I was going to say, how do you budget? How do you know what you're going to be spending in the upcoming year if you're not doing some sort of business plan? I also think, too, that why it's so important is to focus on the areas where you look back at your business. Where did you get your business in the last year? There's how many people are spending money on leads from this source or doing open houses, but they're not getting any business from open houses, they're not getting any business from the sources that they're spending $1,000 a month on.
Sure. I'll let you guys hang on to the microphone and just talk louder. To follow up to that, you guys mentioned consistency and spending dollars on marketing. Is there a rough go-by that you would recommend agents spend of their total commission earned in a preceding year to spend on marketing efforts in the next year?
I don't really maintain a budget that way. I do think there's some truth to that, but also a year is a long time in real estate, so something great one year could be really disastrous the next year. I liked it that you asked about developing and then maintaining a plan, because we can all develop a plan, but real estate changes by the day, and so really to just get in and check at where you're at and what your results are, and then know that you can always modify the plan, but having a good strong backbone to start with, and then moving on with those modifications as things happen. You know, the interest rates increasing really caused a very quick and abrupt stall in my business, and so then it is time to change things a little bit. I'm not a person that buys leads. I'm very highly SPAAR and referral driven. So for me, that just means staying in better and more contact with the people that are and will be my customers. So a little bit different as far as those kind of investments. I spend a lot more money entertaining clients and doing events. And then I also write a grant for anyone that buys or sells a home with anyone on my team. So that's a real sticky factor when people feel like they're giving back to community. So I do that rather than closing this.
Excellent. Brian, do you have any comments on how much an agent should spend on marketing efforts?
Kind of like she said, real estate changes all the time, so it's like, you know, you've heard the saying, you know, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? So I would just say, always try to, you know, maybe budget maybe a quarter of what you got coming in constantly, just to keep investing in yourself, and that might keep you on track.
Yeah, I really like the word investing in yourself, because a lot of times business plans can be really focused on marketing and not so much training and education. So on that topic, what type of training and education, besides the minimum required that the state requires us to maintain our license, do you guys typically like to see the agents you manage or yourselves do on an annual basis?
I think some annual conventions are good to go see. There's a lot of different sessions and things that you can get out of going to those things. You're not going to take it all in, but there are definitely takeaways from all of these things to do. So I think an annual trip somewhere on a real estate convention is poignant for you.
And somewhere warm in January.
Definitely.
Anybody else have a comment on that one?
I would just add to that and say that getting involved, I think, at the association as well, and coming to events like this and just talking with people and finding out what's been working for their business. And it doesn't cost any money for you, like Mya said, to reach out to past clients, friends, and family and ask them if they know of anyone that is looking to do any real estate, or just having a conversation with them where it grows organically and just reaching out to people that way. If you don't have a lot of marketing dollars, there's a lot of ways to grow your business without doing that cold marketing. You know, focus on the SPAAR and focus on the people that you know. For me, the little nuggets that I get on different little techie things, because I'm not I would say that I am somewhat techie, but there's so many things out there and so many new things that come out that you don't know about unless you're seeking it out. So anytime that I can take a quick little online class or hear a little tidbit on a presentation on a website maybe that I didn't know about that offers some free information, I think that that's always a great plus too.
Excellent. Peter, do you have something to add?
The question was, the agents you manage, what should they be doing other than just the basic CE? The two things I was going to say was, you should constantly be looking into new stuff because this business is changing so quickly. And just the last 2-3 years, you didn't have to have any negotiation skills, right? Just open doors and write the best offer. Kind of going back to that, how quickly we're seeing price reductions. There's agents been in business for 5 years that don't know what a price reduction is. I had an agent who sold 9 or 10 houses he had never negotiated after an inspection. But, he never had the list side and the buy side. I'm talking about that. And then to Jennifer's point, I got a quick one after you, stealing all my thunder. I was just going to say networking. I just think you should always be networking too. I think, and Kristen and I had a conversation about this before I came in here, that is just lost. I mean, look at this room, 10 years ago we had more people here for the networking. It's just lost building those relationships and how important they are. So whether it's within your brokerage or outside your brokerage, I think it's really important.
I think a cool highlight here that we've kind of uncovered is that the business plan isn't just how many houses am I going to sell and how am I going to sell them. It's education, it's marketing, it's networking, and it's staying up with industry changes. It could be everything from inventory to technology or whatnot. So I think it's important to incorporate all these things into a business plan so you can stay relevant to your clients. We all know the market's changing a little bit, so this is a two-part question, is when for the next year, so we're 2023 is coming up, when do you start planning for 2023, and with the changing market conditions, what are you changing this year in a business plan versus the last 3 or 4 years? Peter, you kind of hinted on that a little bit already, but I'd like to open that up to Mya if you've got anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as the market slows, I feel that it's going to be a little bit harder to buy leads and to have some of that influx of people that you don't know as well. I feel like for a little while people were buying and selling houses for sport, or they just wanted something a little fancier, a little different. Now with interest rates, I think people are slowing down and making careful decisions, and in that way they're looking for someone that's going to be a trusted advisor. So I do feel those of us that work on sphere and referral basis are going to have a little bit easier of going things. I wonder how that will go for buying the leads, just because I don't think there will be quite as many leads out there. Also forgot to talk about with that last question about training is there's a lot of certifications that you can take. So if you've got a special interest in an area of real estate, you can become ePro certified. I'm ePro, I'm also at Home with Diversity. So really there's a lot of different kinds of certification that can really lead you to a niche of business that you didn't otherwise know about.
Sure. Did you have?
Well, with the shifting market, basic real estate is what really needs to be leaned against. Like prospecting, keeping in touch, networking, all of those things. Just be heavy with that, and you'll always survive when you do basics. When you come back to the basics after something as crazy as what we've been through, and as what Peter was saying, there's us that, there's those folks that actually have done the business, and then there's folks that let the business do them. So now it's time to really, sharpen up on the basics.
One thing I would add to that is be the resource for everything. It's not always just about buying and selling real estate. It's about a plumber, a roofer, an electrician. Who do you have that can come and, cut my grass, mow my lawn and remove my snow while I'm gone on vacation. Be the resource that when people think of anything related to real estate, that you are the person that they call. I think that is also going to help set you apart. And you do that by networking with different types of people that do different, subcontracting.
All right, next question I have focuses on accountability and self-accountability. So a lot of times a business plan helps you track, maybe it's getting that new three-digit letters after your name, but what does it take to get that? And can I put that into my business plan to spend a certain amount of time this week or this month? Am I going to spend X number of hours prospecting, whatever? These are all things that can be put into a business plan. So after you guys have obviously, we've got 100 years of experience up here, you've seen a lot of agents either on your team or in your brokerages. When you look at the ones that create business plans annually, and hold themselves accountable and update them, as you mentioned, Mya, versus the agents that just kind of wing it. I want all of you to respond 1 to 2 differences that you notice between those 2 different agents.
I would definitely say part of it is consistency. So if you're going to be consistent only when you're slow and you're going through waves, you're going to have more slow times. If you are consistent in everything that you do, even when you're busy, because you've already planned out your marketing for maybe your first quarter, maybe a whole year for you is too overwhelming. Maybe you start with just planning all your marketing for 1 month, all of your social media posts for just 1 month. Are you going to do any print mailing? What's that going to look like throughout the year? Are you going to set aside time every day, 10 minutes, to put towards that investment in yourself? Are you going to do marketing to, calling, prospecting, people that you know every day, once a week, 5 people before noon? Maybe you're going to do something like that. But you need to plan it out and you need to be consistent. And if 1 year seems too long for you, then start short. Start with small increments.
Consistency, exactly. I would say, over the years, obviously, we've all had different experiences with things having our lows, and consistency is everything. And I think it would start with, business plan, of course, but a daily things to do list and being motivated, obviously, right, to do this. Discipline comes in when we're feeling our slump, so just stay consistent. Consistency is the biggest word for that.
So does the agents that have a business plan, do you see them being more consistent, more disciplined, et cetera, everything you talk
Yes,
about?
because they have that outline, they have a blueprint, they know where, they have some idea where they're going. Again, they navigate the business moves and changes, so we have to adjust, but having a plan keeps you somewhat with some bearings, right?
I'm a big fan of blocking time. So when we talk about things on an annual basis, what does that mean on the day-to-day? So I think it's a really important thing to block some time for phone calls. Even your current folks that are actively in pipeline, it's sometimes we get in that lull where we aren't touching base as much and you get the phone call coming in that you're like, oh, did I do something wrong? I really like to proactively call out and just check in on people. How's their day going? Do they need anything? Just a real quick. It's a lot less time consuming because then if something's top of mind for them, they'll be there and ask the questions, but you're never gonna find they've overlooked something or missed something if you're in that regular contact. So I schedule a block on Friday mornings and I try to contact everybody that's in my current pipeline as far as transactions in process. And then I try to double up those calls with people that are just friends or family members and just connecting with people. And that tends to be a really good resource for getting referrals.
To answer the question, agents who stick with the business plan and are consistent with it, I think they've got more money. But it's very systematic, right? When they list a house, they know what they're going to do. When they first meet with a client, they know what they're going to do. They know they're going to follow up with them on Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever. And I think they're less stressed out, they're less frazzled because it's not this mad rush of what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? They just follow their system.
It's a plan versus a reaction.
They're not reactionary agents,
Yeah,
correct?
good. Excellent. All right, next, let's see here. So it looks like all of us were somewhat involved in real estate during the last big market shift. There's been a lot of conversation, talk about what's happening now, what's going to happen, and nobody has a crystal ball. So we have no idea, other than just watching data points very closely. But since most of us here were in some way involved in real estate during the 2008, 9, 10, what is one thing you learned about either your personal business or the real estate business in general that you have changed from that experience?
Well, that was definitely a blindsided experience. So I don't think there's anybody that could have felt or predicted what was happening, obviously, right? So nowadays with the shifts, it's been a little bit more of a warning, like, it's starting to get cloudy. So I think, again, consistency, staying in contact with your people, networking. You gotta still keep that relationship going out there. You just have to do it even more so during those shifts so that you're top of mind. And maybe, you'll miss it.
I would say I got a lot more conservative with my money, and I never count on a closing happening until it actually happens. So don't spend your money before you actually get the closing table and it actually happens. And I would say one of the big differences obviously was, that crisis was caused by the housing market, bad loans. There's a difference in the time that we have now. This is an overall economy shift, not just a housing crisis. So I don't think that we need to panic and think that the same thing is going to happen. You know, one thing that I heard Peter Spar say at a board meeting a while ago is he does not react or make decisions based on fear, and I think that that is genius. And I think as realtors, it's our job to educate the public on what is actually happening, and that they shouldn't just, you know, go running up in flames and think that the sky is falling, because that is not the case. People will always buy and sell real estate. Everyone always has something that comes up that they have a real estate need. And so there's always going to be a need for us. And I think that that is something, you know, that we need to educate people on when they ask us, well, is the same thing going to happen that happened before? And I would say, no, I don't think that it's going to. It's different circumstances that we're dealing with. But I would say, be conservative with your money. Know that you're not always going to have as many closings as you did before. And that's why I think it's important to start cutting back on your personal budget. And maybe you don't have HBO anymore. Something like that.
I would say, because I did step away in that time and watch my sister, shortly after I stepped away from real estate, she moved to Toronto. So then all of a sudden there was a vacuum of no one left in the business. And I would do a lot of work for my friends and family that were going through the process with another agent. So tell me what you think about this inspection report. Would you run through this open house with me? And I thought, well, shoot, I'm going to go back in the business, right? If I'm going to do all this for free, I might as well hop back in. They never go away. There's always going to be kids going off to college, people downsizing, someone's getting married, someone's getting a divorce. There's always going to be a reason to move, and just don't fall out of being that top person in people's minds. So, you know, the handwritten note is one of the greatest things. You know, thank yous for just a dinner party or the little things. I'm a big fan of just kind of staying in touch. I have stationery printed with it's my logo on it, but it isn't like a real estate logo. I've just got like a little bee and a hive, and I've got about 4 different messages, but I go to my friends' houses and regularly see notes that I've written them up on their fridge and stuff. So I think just constantly kind of being subtly there. I'm not a person that is always just talking about real estate. You just want to be a resource and a you know, a fountain of knowledge for these people, especially in these times. It's a big and serious choice.
No.
I can't remember the question.
Oh,
What is that?
We'll give you a chance to answer. What is one thing you learned after the last kind of market correction, 2008, 9, or 10, that's changed the way you recommend your agents operate?
There was an agent at an NAR conference I went to. Somebody out there helped me. She's a real southern twang. She was with Remax, went off to another company. Somebody knows her name. I'm looking at Patrick and Patty Joe. Anyway, she spoke at NAR, I don't know how many years ago, but one of her things was real estate agents should cut up their business credit card at least once a year. And the concept was, you guys don't know what you're spending money on.
Subscriptions.
The subscriptions and all of that, right? You signed up for Keeping Current Matters. You signed up for, you know what I mean? I had to remind an agent at Realtor.com, they'd come in and ask us, how much you paying for that? They don't remember, it's on auto pay. Because the last 3 years, you get away with that.
Yeah.
Someone talk about HBO subscription.
Yeah.
Cut up your credit card. Well, but look at your finances, I guess, and actually do something about it. Because that's another thing, agents it's overwhelming to cut the cord on whatever. There might be, it's like, when's the last time you opened the email from whatever subscription you're paying $15 a month for? So.
Right.
That's fine. Look at your finances and get ready for it. So.
Well, that's all good advice. I mean, I love the checking expenses and monitoring that, being conservative with your money. So a lot of the comments from that last market correction was really about making sure the money you're spending is meaningful and cutting what you don't need. But I also liked the comment from you, Mya, of don't stop all those little things, staying top of mind, because the deals may be harder to come by. So you want to make sure that when your sphere thinks of doing something, which they still are going to do, they think of you. On the conservative money topic, so agents have had a really good year in 2021 and 2022. And this is going to be about, taxes, right? Where does half of our money go? So what do you recommend agents do planning-wise for taxes during up and down years?
I'll take this one, Brian. I know one agent who does a salary, and he's been doing that for years. I think he's 35 years in the business. So the money goes into account, and he pays himself a salary. I always thought that was genius. But personally, it was, do we withhold, but have that money just never, go into account, out of sight, out of mind, so you don't get caught off guard, and it's a lot of money. It's 30% if you're not set up in a different structure. Let's not get into the weeds on that, but out of sight, out of mind, have it go to a separate account.
So before we let Brian answer, you think having a separate business account versus a personal account, if I'm reading between the lines, is a good recommendation?
Depending where in your business, I just think you need to take that money for taxes, set aside for taxes, and never even take a look at it. Just, I mean,
That's exactly.
it's been a while, but that one didn't show up on my computer screen like the other ones did. I knew it was in my checking account. I didn't know what was in that account for taxes. I just knew that there's enough money there because it was 30%.
Okay.
So.
Did you want to add anything, Brian?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You gotta really just separate it. You just gotta separate it. Just throw it in there and forget about it. And you won't have such a nightmare when the tax man comes.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. I do hire an accountant. I do quarterly withdrawals just so that or withholds just so that I know that it's always there. I don't want to be scraping for money at the end of the year or in March. So that always happens. I also keep a separate business account. I also pay myself a salary. I also put a lot of stuff on my corporate card. There's a lot of things that we do in our day-to-day business that costs us money that is deductible. So make sure that you keep track of that. I've got people on my team that will just use like their ATM, and I just feel like you're gonna lose a receipt somewhere. You're gonna, there's a lot of write-offs that can be missed, and you want to make sure that you're getting covered.
Do you want to add anything?
I was just gonna say quarterly payments are the way to go too. That way at the end of the year, you're not shocked at, oh my gosh, I did not realize I made that much money, and wow, I do not have that money to pay. So I would definitely say quarterly and have an accountant.
Yeah, and I think the key to this question was there's a lot of agents that had record years, and if they weren't planning, they're also going to have record tax bills.
Yep.
All right, let's keep moving on. Interest rates. I don't know if you guys saw the news this morning, but the average 30-year rate has hit 6%. I saw that on the news this morning. How does this affect agents' sales and planning or discussions with their clients?
I think it depends on the client situation. I remember when I got into the business, I mean, that was a long time ago, but interest rates were around 8%. And I thought, my God, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. But 6%, I mean, when you look at it historically, is still a low interest rate. And there's a lot of different types of loans out there. I know my closer told me that a lot of people have been doing adjustable rate mortgages at lower rates. So I think there's a lot of different loan programs out there, and depending on your client situation, I think now is the time to start looking at some of those. It's not going to be like it was in 2007, 2008, where we're getting into loans that should have never been written. I think these are actual good loans for people with good options for them to get into homes. And for people that are looking to do the buy-up, there's a lot of lenders out there that are doing, different types of loans if they haven't sold their home yet, so they can be offering non-contingent without selling their home. So I think there's just different options out there with different lenders.
We're still dealing with like the supply and demand thing, so I believe that, the rates obviously are still low. I mean, I remember when I started, we were double digits, and 7 was heaven. 9 was happy. So
you're dating yourself, I say.
Yeah.
I suppose, but I mean, we don't have a flux of inventory, so I don't think it won't hurt us so much. It won't hurt the buyers, but I think buyers need to understand, get in now, and then down the road, rates will change, rates will go down, so consider a refinance in a little while. But how it's like you said, people aren't just buying houses for sport, it's the need. So the supply and demand thing will kind of catch up a little bit, but it's not going to be so overwhelming that it'll be a problem, I don't think. Okay, that's just my experience.
I think it's a real situation, especially for our first-time home buyers and for our people that have less money. People's buying power has shrunk significantly. I had people that were, at $350 that are now at $275. So I think you have to have real honest conversations with people, make sure that they're connecting with their lender on the regular basis so that they know where their buying power is, because it can be pretty shocking for people. And then, my lender always says, marry the house, date the rate, right? We can always refi, things will change again. But for the most part, just making sure that they're making really smart decisions and making sure it's nice it's slowed down enough that we can get people through home inspections, we can get an occasional price reduction. So I just think it feels to me more like it will be approaching a balanced market, and I think that's what needed to happen.
This one's kind of near and dear to me. So number one, have you ever driven by a car dealership and seen the interest rate advertised when it was zero, you saw it, but other than that, do you ever see a car dealership advertising the interest rate? And they're selling cars all the time. So, you know, I think kind of have to get away from it a little bit. And you talked about what the lender said, you know, you're married the house, you're dating the rate. But I think it's our job to say that to consumers is, you know, you need a place to live. I think that entry-level price point has been more affected by, at least in my office, you know, we're still seeing multiple offers at $450, but not at $300, and that stuff's sitting a lot longer. Something else is I can't remember.
Yeah, well, if it comes back to you, just speak up. I heard a couple comments about setting the expectations, right? Like, hey, you know, you're buying a car, what is your buying? Setting those expectations, delivering, I think that's really good advice. Going to the marketing side with the interest rates changing and everything, Maya, I think you mentioned something about not buying leads or whatnot. I think that was you. I apologize for somebody else. But thinking of all these changes, what's changing, or what would you recommend an agent change in their marketing plan on how to reach people, or what to spend their dollars on marketing if they are selling less houses in 2023 than 2021 and 2022? Like where and what to do from the marketing side?
I have a millennial mentor. She's my niece and I love her to death. I call her my project manager, but social media is for you guys. Do cool stuff on social media. Bring important things forward. I know everyone's sick of hearing that you should do videos, but you can get a strong message even about interest rates and buying power out in a 30 or 45-second clip. So that's all free. That's top of mind. We spend a lot of energy on the free stuff. You know, there's a lot of resources out there to just stay top of mind. We also do quarterly events, so now that the COVID, people are kind of getting comfortable wherever they are with COVID, that we try to do something that can kind of bring the community together and bring our sphere of influence and clients together. I'm also seeing a lot of out-of-state folks moving to the Twin Cities, and so trying to give them a community to fall into when they get here, because when you get here, people talk a lot about Minnesota, that we're very nice, but we aren't necessarily inclusive, so just trying to create events that people can kind of feel like they're starting to build their own communities locally.
You guys have anything to add?
No, I think just like she said, there's so many free things that you can do in marketing. Picking up the phone call, talking to people, social media, doing videos on your cell phone. People don't necessarily need a perfect video. They don't care if you shoot it on your cell phone. You know, you should give them a tour of your listing where someone's just taping you, walking through it and talking it. I think that's pretty simple.
Being top of mind.
Yes.
Brian, did you?
I've always said that this is a social business, fortunately, so it's much freer to just be out networking and being seen and going to the birthday parties, going to the weddings, going to the gatherings, the football games, you know, just be out and about.
I got one more thing to say. When people find out that you're a realtor, they want to talk to you because they automatically think that we have a lot of money, and they always want to know, what is the market like? You know, they always want to talk about real estate. So I think when people find out that you're a realtor, you're somebody that they want to talk to.
Is that your elevator pitch?
You should have one.
Everybody should know what an elevator pitch is. Okay, I wanted to bring up something that we talked about, because you guys mentioned multiple times, you know, people are still having a need to buy or sell. And this isn't necessarily a question, but maybe it's just a stat that Lawrence Young shared at the last NAR convention. If you guys want to comment on it, you already have a little bit, but as interest rates have risen over the last 30 years, the number of transactions hasn't changed a whole lot. Like, there's not a direct correlation between interest rates rising and transactions going down, which at first I think a lot of agents think that's what's going to happen, but the data doesn't show that. So I think all of these strategies to stay top of mind on any of your clients is huge, because they're still going to find a need, whether, you know, whatever life event causes it. Okay, I don't know how many of our agents watching or here are newer agents, and I don't know how much time we have left. You're looking at me. We've got time. Okay. So we've all been in the business a long time. For a new agent with a relatively small marketing budget, we've talked social media, the free advertising, so I'm going to remove that from your answer. What is one other thing a relatively new agent with not a huge marketing budget and not a huge sphere of influence can do to become successful and start or continue to grow an early real estate career?
When I started, I was really a kid. I was like 2. So the basics of real estate, again, you have to open houses. I mean, again, socializing, all the things that don't really cost money, do. do it all, sling it all, see what sticks and what works for you. But you have to be out and about amongst folks so that they know you're not a secret agent, of course, right? So that's the best way. For anybody new, get up every day, burn yourself out. You're gonna make people sick of the fact that they know that you're a realtor.
I think also for young people, try to find an experienced mentor that's got more experience. Get out, go on showings, just follow along on showings. It's important to know what a house works like, what looks like structural failure, what looks like wet basements. Try to keep people,
Learn the product.
yeah, learn the product before you get out there and bring in an inspector. I've got a lot of young people on my team. We all do some volunteer work, and we used to have t-shirts that had our logo on the front and volunteer on the back, which was nice. We switched it over now. It says real estate coach. So one of my teammates coaches soccer for a high school. He also plays semi-pro soccer. So he wears that buy them soft so they're comfortable and wear them everywhere. But I'll wear my real estate coach to yoga or whatever. Just let people, it's just a subtle reminder that you're doing it and you don't even have to tell anybody about it.
I was gonna say, go preview homes. I think that's lost on these new agents that just don't, they're scared to click the preview button on showing time or whatever. Go preview houses, go on agent tour, it's back. Do open houses, yes, the social media, and then I think a lot of it's shifting to Google too, right? Everyone's looking you up on Google too, so, and there's setting up a Google My Business page with a $500 credit on there. I think you spend $500 to get $500 or something like that. So
Free advertising.
$1,000 worth of advertising. Pretty cool. So.
Did you want to add anything? Or?
I would just say, think about why did you get into real estate in the first place? What is your goal? Is this something that you want to do full time? Did you just get your real estate license to work with friends and family as kind of bonus money? Are you investing in yourself and you want to get into this long term? Because if you are, start volunteering, get involved at SPAAR, join a committee, and start meeting other people. We are all here as volunteers because we want to be, because we care about our industry, and we want to make a difference. Those are the types of people that you want to surround yourself with if you are looking to do this for a full-time career and be in it long term. If you want to be in it long term, you need to be around people that have the same values as you. And if you're just in real estate, we have over 8,000 realtors just at the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors. I think the correction in the market will possibly help some of those realtors leave the business that got in it for the wrong reasons. You need to be in real estate for relationships. That's what this business is all about. And that's how you're going to build your business, is by creating relationships and friendships long term. And that's how you're going to get referrals and repeat business. Surround yourself with other realtors that have the same values, and that you're going to find that by volunteering and joining committees at the Realtors Association.
Thank you. Mentioned finding a mentor to get more knowledge, right? I think that's a great idea. So I want to build on that a little bit. Finding a mentor can be a paid coach. It can be another agent in your office. It could be joining a team. It could be a big broker versus small brokerage. Just some tips on how do you find a mentor that jives with you, and what do you expect to gain both sides of that relationship?
I think, again, it just depends on what is your goal, what are you in real estate for, and you have to be your biggest cheerleader, because people can tell you the right things to do, but you actually have to do them. So we can give you the tools, but you actually have to put in the work and do it, and you have to be your own cheerleader and get up every single day and have non-negotiable things that you're going to be doing, whether it's every morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways. Be consistent, and everything that you do is so important because it really sets your mindset. If you're going to wake up in the morning and just keep hitting that snooze button, you're going to fail at everything that you try to do. So you need to get up and have a good mindset, and whatever that takes for you to get there, you just need to do it.
I started the Parker House group almost 20 years ago now, and again, one of my biggest questions when people want to come and be part, I ask about their purpose, like why do you want to do this, because it is so important. And then also, again, we get into how to discipline yourself. Even, when you're lacking the motivation, you got to definitely fall back on the discipline. So getting up every day, being consistent with that plan, the business plan that you're making, and your things to do list, blocking out time, all those things help you grow, become, but you do have to be coachable and listen. And when we ask you to do certain things, these certain activities, it's like coaching. We gotta know the strength of our bench and help those enhance on their weaknesses. And it's work, but again, it's motivation, self-motivation. Does that make sense?
The question is, partnering with the right mentor. It brings up something I was thinking about the other day. I'm a broker manager, and we were checking in with agents right weekly, monthly, quarterly. I've not had to do that in the last 2 years. Because they're just all so busy, right? So kind of getting back to that, but anyway, finding somebody who is going to check in with you, who is able to hold you accountable. I think that's pretty important. I know in the office right now, I had two younger agents come up to me, and it's kind of the exact same struggles. I've partnered them up, and they've got a whiteboard, and each day they're in there doing the things. A big saying in my office: you got to do the things, but they're motivating each other. So I'm just having to check in with them rarely, but even just that, right? The whole workout buddy concept, right? You're going to get up and go to the gym if your friend's going to motivate you to show up, kind of a thing. So I think it could be at the broker level, it could be at the agent level. Be outside of the industry. There's many different ways you can find somebody who's going to help build you up and be your mentor.
I like the pure motivation topic. That's not one that gets talked about a lot, but that's real. It really is.
The workout buddy.
Yeah, but the agent buddy.
Yes.
And there is definitely the time to sit down and be a mentor in an office one-on-one, and you can get a lot accomplished and start, helping them with business planning and stuff. But I really think some of these young people that don't understand process need to be in your car with you, because there's a lot of phraseology that you use in real estate that makes people feel comfortable, and it's like they're little sponges. If they're in the car and they keep hearing kind of the same phrases and stuff, you start to regurgitate that out. It just brings a lot more comfort to them instead of, otherwise I've had like great one-on-one meetings. We do some talking points. We've got all that. And you see them out in front of clients, and they're like, because they don't see the phraseology. So get in the car. And also I make them drive sometimes because I got emails to do and stuff.
That's great. I love, I call it learn the lingo, right?
Yeah.
For a new agent to get confident, like just learning all the lingo makes a big difference, because then when they go have that elevator pitch with somebody at a baseball game, they can use the terminology they learned from you from riding around in the car talking to people.
Yep.
You learn real estate by osmosis.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And when you're on the phone in the car, right?
I've said it many times, like for the newer agents especially, you got to be in the arena of the game of real estate. So show up to the office. We might have earned a little bit of being at home, but they really should be in the arena, having that synergy. They'll learn so much. Class obviously, but what's relevant, you learn. We might have a conversation, and he overhears and learns something from it.
Yeah.
That's osmosis, like you said.
And I think no matter how long we've been in the business, we might still bounce ideas off of each other. So we might have 2 seasoned agents, but if they're in the office and we have a transaction going on, every transaction is different, and different things always pop up. And how would you handle this, or this just happened? Oh my gosh, can you believe that? And maybe they have a different idea. Sometimes you got to think outside the box.
Sure. I promised you guys an easy question, so this is a yes or no question. Do you think it's important for an agent of any experience level to have a business plan?
Yes.
So that was my last question. I don't know if anybody in the audience here or online had any questions. No questions at all? Nobody wants to raise their hand? No brain busters?
I guess I had one. Brian had alluded to STP, see the people get out there and not necessarily chase the shiny object. But on the other hand, if you did have to spend some money, what would you spend it on? Mailing, whatever.
I guess I would spend my money more so on, let me see.
Your steer. Spend your money on your steer.
There you go. I'd spend it on my sphere, trying to reach back and speak to and have some sort of contact with my past clients.
And how would you do that? Mailing or?
Maybe phone calls. I would do more phone calls.
Okay.
And then follow up with something in the mail possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you do if your sphere was very small?
Make
You
it
had extra money to spend.
Well, we'd have to go out and do some happy hours and some lunches. Yep. It really needs to be a personable situation. I think that people would really take that, they really appreciate that more so, because it's like, let's say I have 2 clients that just happen to know each other, and I send out a mailing piece to both of them, and they crisscross with it. They don't feel special anymore. So it's more of a personable thing. I think it's better. So I would spend my money in that direction. Okay.
I have something to add to that. I would also say find something that works for you and then people kind of expect it. So I know you guys might all laugh at me, but I still do mailings quarterly and I do giveaways. So in the summer we'll do apple pies. Come to the office, get your apple pie. November it's come get your pumpkin pie. In the spring it's come get your blooming annual. And for years we always did a spaghetti dinner fundraiser for the American Cancer Society, and it was a ton of work, but people loved it. And we would invite people to that and they could come, and we used to raise thousands of dollars for the American Cancer Society. COVID put a, kind of a kibosh on that, but we're going to be redoing it again. But people look forward to that. And they've been asking us, when are you guys going to do the spaghetti dinner? So again, it comes down to being consistent and do something that works for you, because then people are, well, I didn't get my postcard in the mail. I didn't get to come and get my free pie. And you're like, it was a $3 pie. But okay.
Do you print or handwrite your mailers? Anybody else have any other questions? Go ahead.
I do. You've referenced being an industry expert quite a few times, which I think is a really, really good suggestion. We all receive good data from SPAAR, NAR, the Minnesota Association. Are there any other sites that you, go to for data? Any other in your pockets?
I like InfoSparks as well, especially because you can divide out price points. And then you can also send out live data. So if you send them that link, they can kind of continually recheck on that.
I joked around about paying for a subscription earlier for Keeping Current Matters. That's a blog you can email, but there is a free version of that. I think especially in a shifting market. I remember the brokerage I met, they brought that gentleman in when the market was coming back, and that was really good data. Interest rates were going up and stuff like that. But a website like that, if you check out that one, it's I'm seeing some heads nod behind you there too. I think other people have done that one. So Keeping Current Matters is a good one.
Not data related, but something that a lot of people don't know is I think all SPAAR members get access to the Inman articles. So you can log in with your SPAAR information and you get a lot of, it's more opinion based, but it's good information. And going with knowing the lingo, you never know what conversation you can have with a potential client. So to have some of that, and it's just, the more you digest, the more will just spew out when you're having a conversation on a given topic.
Yeah, Inman is the state association. Just type in your email address that MLS has, and I believe it's your NERDS ID. Otherwise, just type in your email address and every single password.
Yep. We had one other question back there first.
Did any of you bring examples of your business plan?
No.
It wasn't in the business plan to bring it, right?
Vicki Milner with Heartland Inspections, and I just want to say, even though it's on the CE side, and you talk about newer agents in particular needing to learn the particulars about homes, we do teach CE weekly to 100 to 200 agents on webinars every Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
Awesome. Thank you.
Vicki, you are a great advocate for our business. We really appreciate that. You guys do a lot of good things.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions? So I guess unless you guys have any nuggets of information to share to agents
I
trying to
have a tiny
develop.
one.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, I just got back at 2 a.m. last night from Coldwell Banker's President's Club. We got delayed out of Florida, which was not that fun. So that's why I'm a little frantic today. But one of the things that that our national, Ryan Gorman was speaking about is that when we have, in real estate, when we have swift drops in activity like we just experienced, they're usually a mere rise, right? So we just dropped quite quickly, we'll probably come back quite quickly. When the business is slow like this, it's probably gonna come back more slowly. So although we're all a little nervous right now and things feel like they're paused, be confident that people will kind of readjust to where we're at and people will still have that appetite. So don't lose hope, I think we're gonna come back quick.
This industry's been around a long time, so it ebbs and flows. So we just have to ride it out and prepare ourselves for that.
Great. Well, why don't we give our panelists a little